Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Larry Poria. I am the Outreach Manager at Springwell. I want to acknowledge just a couple people. I want to acknowledge Fred Kuthin from the Wellesley Council on Aging for helping me set this up, along with Peter Godfrey. I also want to thank Kevin McDonald, the Senior Activities Coordinator, for setting this up. It was interesting when I started coming up with this presentation a couple months ago. I usually give standard presentations to most senior centers. I go over the programs of Springwell, what we do. And I remember my dialogue with Fred, he says, is there a way you can combine the idea of not home care programs in general, but general planning ideas for people? Because many of the people who are going to come to this probably will not use Springwell for home care services, usually because their income is a little bit too high. What would they get from Springwell? So, you know, I devised this presentation mainly for the residents of Wellesley and how, number one, Springwell can still assist you, but also go through some other ideas that I have learned from the field. As we were chatting, I mentioned I'm now in my 33rd year of doing this. I will joke, I like to joke a lot, I will warn you on that. My first job, I was 24 as outreach coordinator at a homeless shelter in Boston. If there was anyone more unqualified to do that, this was in the heart of the combat zone too. Anyone, because I came from a very well-to-do family, it's like there was no, I learned more from that than most aspects of my life. We joke because I met my wife at the shelter. So when people ask, how did you guys meet? I said, well, we met at a homeless shelter, but we worked there. So I did 13 years doing that. I have also spent 21 years at Mystic Valley Elder Services, which is another elderly service access provider, running their money management program. And for the past year, I have a dream job at Springwell as the outreach manager. If you would ask me 6-7 months ago, what is absolutely needed at the local aging service access points? It's developing relationships with the COAs, with the towns and communities to make them aware of what's available to them. And right now we're covering 22 different towns. So my goal is basically I spend a lot of my time out on the road, going to the various sites, going to the various towns, finding out who the providers are. Do they want to meet with us? How can we partner with them? I am absolutely passionate about people having the right to live and die in a setting of their own choice. I still get choked up. This is my mantra of giving people the information and advice so they're able to make the decision on whether they want to live at home, whether they want to go somewhere else, continuum care, retirement community, whatever. I want to make sure people have the advice, the knowledge, and where to look for that when they make that decision. And I'll warn you, I do talk a lot. Okay, I added this on mainly with the idea for Wellesley residents. What I can tell you right now in my years of doing this, no matter what the income level, what town you live in, what background story you have, what family situation you have, you need to develop a care plan for the future. I can't emphasize this enough. My years of doing this, I could tell you horror stories of people who just didn't plan. And again, doesn't concern lifestyle, income, but they didn't have a plan. Most of the people in this room, and you might throw, luckily you don't have coffee because you might throw it at me. Most folks in this room will have more than 20 years left to live. Most people don't believe that. So when I come in front of people who are in their early 80s, I will ask, what are your plans? And You know, it's not, oh, well, I got maybe about 6 or 7 years left. I said, no, you might have 10 to 15, okay? People are living longer and longer. And the goal here is for folks to at least start to think and develop a plan for their future. And I can't emphasize that part enough. First thing, where do you want to live? It is a personal choice. Where do you want to live? I recently met a woman in a very well-to-do suburb who was 88 years old. Her house was probably worth about $3 to $4 million on the open market. I had a chance to meet with her in the senior center. She was looking at private care organizations. And I said, what are you going to do? Because she told me all about her house, about her kids. She bought the house, I think, in the mid-60s. The kids were gone. Kids were all over different parts of the country. She had a good relationship with the kids. And I said, yeah, what are you going to be doing for the future? She looked at me as though I had 3 heads. She goes, I'm going to live and die in the house. And I'm going to make sure I get the services and the support I need to be able to have that wish. Where do you want to live? It is a personal choice. What I will tell folks to do is that is the first question you have. And it is one of the most important things you need to answer. Most of us come from families that have very well-meaning children. They try to think the best of their parents. They love them. And a lot of times they have ideas of what mom and dad should be doing. Now, it matters what the elder wants. And I need to emphasize that people are allowed to make choices, okay? I laugh as I was prepping for this. I said, you know what, when I was 8 years old, I really didn't have the right to make poor choices. If you asked me what I wanted for lunch, it would be a can of Mountain Dew and 2 Hershey bars. Not a good choice at age 8. But as folks get older, large majority have capacity still. Why aren't they allowed to make choices, either good ones or bad ones? One of my concerns is about not listening to the elder as to what he or she wants for the future. And in my years of doing this and sitting down with families where I had to be like a referee, it was, what is the elder, what does mom want, what does dad want? Well, they want to do that, but yes, they can. They have the right to fail. They have the right to make poor choices. We always do. First question you want to ask is, where do you want to live? Second, what help do I need to make this a reality? If your goal is, you know what, I want to go to a continuing care retirement communities, they're everywhere, okay? And my parents benefited from one of them because they went from independent to dependent, and my father went up to dementia care. They were both able to pass away at home, which was a success. But what help will you need? It's, yep, I plan to live in my house. What will I need in terms of advice and support to be able to do that? Or, no, I want to try some of these retirement communities. What do I need to do? What help will I need? For those who are looking at the retirement community spectrum, you have private care managers, you have local home care agencies. Private care managers are usually, they cost a lot, but they usually will have the connections at a lot of the retirement communities, and they will work with you, set up, appointments to the various retirement communities. That's what the good ones should be able to do. But you have to ask, what help will I need? It has to be, it takes a while to come up with this too. It's not, okay, I'm going to sit down, Larry told me I'm going to write down this little list I have. No, it takes time. Start figuring out what help you need. along with this is what research should you do? What research do I have to go through? When you're searching for retirement communities, if that is your choice, don't go to the first one that has the best dining room imaginable, okay? I get a lot of these welcomes to all these various centers. They want to meet, and there's like a waterfall in the vestibule, and I go up, and there's this beautiful dining room. I'm kicking the tires. I'm looking. Well, a lot of people will go in there maybe in their 80s, and at that time they're doing good. And the same thing happened with my parents. They were doing good. In fact, I call my parents the cool kids because it's a lot like high school in these communities where if you're still driving, you're a cool kid. So they came in, you know, they could drive, but kick the tires. Don't look at that. Look at what type of supports are they going to give me. You know, there's going to come a day where I'm going to be in a walker going down. I'm going to be incontinent. It happens. My cognitive ability is going to be slipping. What type of support are you going to provide me? Do not look at the lunch or the dinner menu. This is the much more important aspect of it, is figuring out, okay, you know, I'm 81, 82. Here's my plan. I'm going to plan like I'm going to live to 92, 93. What type of supports do you provide for me when I'm no longer able to drive? These are big issues, okay? And going to the nicest retirement community out there, people tend to focus on, they're visual people. They focus on the beauty. You want to go down the nitty-gritty and saying, what are the supports? What supports do you have for me? And this brings up to the next part. Whether you decide to live at home or live in a continuum care retirement community, what will be the cost of this plan? What will be the cost? I will say from the continuum care retirement communities, I have had people say, yep, I'm going into Wellstone Village, let's make up a name, you know, and they have the money to be able to do that, but they only plan for 3 years worth of expenses. Then they run out of the money, okay? Seriously, when you start looking, both at home and a retirement community, crunch the numbers. So if it is a retirement community, it says, well, right now we don't need much, so the price looks good. Good 7 to 8 years, crunch it. What happens in year 5 when, you know, I need help with toileting, bathing, getting in and out of the chair, food prep? What is it going to cost me then? You need to run those numbers, okay? I can't emphasize this enough. A lot of these places will also have huge down payments, initiation fees, etc. That is important, but if you're coming up with a 7 to 8 year plan, you also want to look at what are the costs of all these support systems? Do they have a nurse on staff? Do they have a social worker on staff? Are they using outside vendors to provide services? You need to find that out. The same with the idea of living at home. How much is this going to cost me? And be realistic. My hips are going, my knees, maybe I'll need a wheelchair ramp. It's little stuff saying, okay, I'm over income, I'm not on mass health for a lot of these services. What if I private pay? What would it be? What if I get a homemaker in a couple hours a week, a personal care person? Start planning. And I can't emphasize this enough. It's the people that don't plan that tend to get in a lot of trouble, and they end up making a desperate choice, meaning, oh, my son and daughter said, you're going here, you're going there. That's because you haven't done your planning a lot of the times. You need to have a plan.
Do you take questions, Larry?
Yes, I'll take questions because you can.
We have friends who've gone into places and
Yep.
then the outfit that you were going with, they got bought out by somebody else, and all of a sudden, different kinds of things happen in terms of services
Yep.
and costs for things that they didn't know. So is there any way to find out what your protection is in that?
Yes, I'd kick you. This is not to downplay or badmouth continuum care retirement centers. Again, the one my parents went to basically were phenomenal. There's a lot of them out there, okay? But what you need to be able to do is look at the fine print, find out what happens if this changes hands. What happens then? That is really important. You need to come prepared for those interviews. I will always tell folks to walk away if they're pressuring you. Always, it's no. You have choices. And if you're going that route, please look at 3 to 5 different retirement communities. Don't go on the first one. Oh, this is the new one in Wellesley. It might not be the best one for you. There might be a center 20 miles away that offers better services at a better price. So that would be my advice. Now going back to Springwell, what Springwell is, we're a designated area agency on aging from the federal level and an aging service access point. ASAP models, I hate doing the lingos because most people, AAA, ASAP. All an ASAP is, we are contracted out by the Executive Office of Aging and Independence, short for AGE. And I got that right, Fred, amazing. Our goal is mainly, we have to develop and provide services that meet the needs of older adults and the caregiver. It originally comes many decades ago from the Older Americans Act. The state runs the ASAPs. The Executive Office of Aging and Independence will supervise the ASAPs. There are 22 in the area. And Springwell themselves, we cover 22 different towns. And we've actually worked in Wellesley. We've been in the Wellesley area probably well over 40 years. So Wellesley is part of our original catchment area. As you can see, we're also out in the Metro West area also. Next would be our mission. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. Our mission, I love this. And we actually use real people here. So Springwell will have both the staff and the volunteers to help people face the challenges of aging by providing the support they need to live in a place they love, which is called home. Our focus will be on consumers who make the choice they want to live and die at home. However, I wanted to add the previous part of planning and everything for those folks who are here today that are also thinking about other options rather than staying at home. This is what our focus is, assisting people to be able to provide them the support, information, advice to keep them at home. Our passion, we want to help people live in health and independence, a setting of their own choice. I live for this. This is what are we able to do to assist those folks to stay at home as long as possible. We're also going to support family members and those who provide care. I will go a little bit into our caregiving support. And I'll also tell you a little bit my story about being a caregiver. We're going to be working with healthcare providers to improve health satisfaction while reducing costs, working with SCOs, working with Mass Health. We're going to stay focused on the consumer. When I go to the next slide, it will go into the different programs, but our focus is on the consumer first. It's not the consumer's son or daughter who says, you know what, my dad needs this, this, this. What does the elder want? One of the neat things that's actually on the Wellesley Council on Aging, and I know Kate Burnham, who used to work at Springwell, is the director. She is phenomenal, okay? If you go to the site on support services, at the end she goes, elders have the right to refuse services. They have the right to refuse services. As much as I want to promote Springwell, the senior center, the Tolles Parsons Center you have here is phenomenal. You have people who are dedicated and hardworking and know their stuff. Another avenue for you is to always come here to get advice, to talk to a Kate and find out, you know, here's my plan, this is what I'm thinking of. She has the knowledge and the ability to assist you in that also. This senior center in particular is one of the best run centers I have seen in the state. So you folks are really blessed to have something like that. So in this particular case, I will say yes, the Tolles Parsons Center will be able to help you out on that part. At Springwell, we will believe that when you want the support, you get to decide what support you need, when you need it, and who provides it. You get to choose what you want. It is not a salesman coming in and saying, grab this, 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 this. It depends on what you want.
Now, do you have someone from Springwell, like you're just talking about Kate Burnham, but is there someone from Springwell that could help you with that?
Yes, and I'm going to mention, nice segue, and I didn't pay you for this part. The Springwell Services Overview. These are the 6 main components of Springwell and what we do. The 6 major departments, the programs that we have. First is information and referral, nutrition services, Massachusetts State Home Care Program, protective services, caregiving support services, and volunteer services. I am going to take the rest of the presentation and go over these and to basically to give you the information you need to be able, the goal here is the information piece. Is 6 main components. Some of these components you will never need to use, and I respect that, I understand, but there'll be some that, you know, yeah, I will probably need to use this in the future. And the first will be information and referral. INR program, it's going to help with planning, decision making, and accessing public and private health services. If you do not get anything else from this presentation and said this guy talked too long, at the end will be our phone number, okay? I'll also give you my business card too. You want to give information and referral a call whether or not you're thinking of Springwell Services, or we are known for having lists, and be able to dispense advice. I want a list of elder care attorneys in Wellesley. We can provide you with that. I'm looking for private home care agencies. Can you provide me a list? We cannot recommend a particular one, but we can provide you with lists. I'm looking for private personal care. I want to find a grocer that delivers. Little stuff like that. We are known for this. When you call INR, their job is to listen to you, okay, and find out what you need. In my time of doing this, everyone is different. There is no 2 people who are exactly the same. So their job is to listen to you and find out, well, I'm looking for this, this, and this. Can you help me with that, okay? I would use INR basically when you start to come up with your plan, okay? Thinking, you know what? I'm looking for maybe private home care services. What's out there? I'm looking at maybe different healthcare options. What's out there? Again, elder law attorneys. Interesting, I had an email a couple weeks ago from a COA and said, do you have a list of hairdressers in the town of Needham that make home visits? And I said, oh, she's thrown me a curve. But I found it. And I sent it to her. We're known for this, okay? Whether you take services or not is, to me, it's irrelevant. The most important thing for me is that you call and you at least get people to start to help you, provide you with information and advice, okay? So I&R is absolutely crucial.
Larry, do you do anything in the transportation area?
We do not do any in the transportation, no. It's usually by town that will do that, because there's a huge, this has been investigated for decades at the ASAP level. If we start talking about it, it'll be another 45 minutes. But the cost involved, the liability, so it's usually at the local level. Some towns have great transportation programs, others they don't even have them off the ground. It depends on the town. You look like you're going to add something there. Oh, you're just like, yeah, it's okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
How are you funded if this is a free?
We are funded probably 97% from state, 3% from federal funding. Now, the question that comes up most recently is, how's it going?
Yeah.
Right now, we've been level funded. This year, I will say we will probably be okay. The next couple years, we don't know. So the budget has been passed. For this year, we're probably looking okay. No positions have been cut. Springwell, no, we will never, we're not at that point, okay? We're very strong financially in terms of ASAP, so no. We're level funded. Nothing has been cut, okay? That's a good question.
When you think about working with the town, in the town departments,
Yep.
you work with Council on Aging?
Yes.
Do you work with the health departments?
Yes, we do.
You do? So that's-
Yes, we do.
And do you do anything with public housing?
Yes, that's one of my areas that I have invested a lot of time and effort in, is going into the public housing. I was actually at Wellesley Public Housing probably about 4 months ago. One of my goals is to go into the various housing authority sites, because in reality, since a good majority of our consumers are moderate to low income, I want to make sure the folks in the housing authorities, who are usually very limited income, are aware of the services. So that's one thing I've been doing. So along with this, other questions that come up: signing up for Meals on Wheels, learning about Medicare or Mass Health programs, as well as options counseling. There will be times when you call up and you're interested in getting certain services. I'm thinking about getting homemaking services. I'm thinking maybe personal care service, laundry service, grocery shopper. But I don't want to make the decision on the phone. In fact, I want to see if someone can come out, an options counselor, to sit down with me and my family and find out, what is available to me. And that's something that we can also do too. A lot of times you're looking for stuff and you're being thrown tons of information. We can send you stuff in the mail, we can send you stuff by email, but sometimes you want to sit down with a loved one and say, no, I want someone from Springwell to be there and just go over what options or services are available to me. Being well educated really is the most important part of it. And again, it's not a high sales pitch. You could have someone from Springwell come in and you're like, okay, thank you for your time, and look at other options. But the idea that we are able to come out, meet with you, and go over what your options to me is important.
Larry, if someone's on Medicaid, is the information available to say, gee, I want to find out if I'm going to lose my health benefits or other benefits of Medicaid, being in a nursing home and things like that? Is that something that Springwell would be on top of?
I would refer the local COA Shine program, okay? That which Fred does, this is an incredible program. Shine is serving the health information needs of elders. They are experts in this. We refer most of our calls to the various Shine departments, and most towns will have their own Shine offices. I'm not familiar with Wellesley, and I should have been. Wellesley has an office, right? I thought they did. Okay. They have two. So you have two Shine counselors here. Please use them. Use them. Because finding out about different health programs, options, Medicare, can I qualify for Mass Health? Can I go to a senior care options program? What about One Care? Again, I've been involved with this work for 22 years. I still cannot, dialogue for 5 minutes on it. I mean, it is that, it's overwhelming. In a word, it is overwhelming. You're better off going to a local Shine program or calling Springwell and saying, what's the closest Shine office to me? And speak to someone in the Shine program because they have been trained on this, okay? And we got a plug for you too, so this worked out good. Second,
Glad I came.
yeah, I'm glad you came. The second part of the program is Nutrition Services, which is our Meals on Wheels program, which is the next page. And Home Delivered Meals program provides seniors with a nutritious lunch delivered to their door by a driver for up to 5 days per week. Couple things. I know the Tolles Parsons Center, you have your own dining, which I think is wonderful, funded by the Friends, which it's one of the few programs in the area where the local Friends of the COA has decided we are going to support this. This is a wonderful, wonderful program, okay? The goal there is people are coming in, they're meeting, they're sharing over me. I think that's wonderful, and this is one of the few towns that give older adults that options. Come into the senior center, okay? We have dining Tuesday through Friday. That part is huge. I want to go over the idea of nutrition services. We usually deliver close to several thousand meals in a week. We're in the 22 towns. And there's a lot of misconceptions about the idea on Meals on Wheels. Usually people who can still go out to the 99 restaurant, go to Market Basket or Stop and Shop, when the idea of Meals on Wheels come up, they're like, no, I don't want it, or I don't like the meals. And that's okay. Please, however, when we come to the point of Meals on Wheels, the idea of what it is. These are nutritious meals. They are decent meals because I have them every week. They are to serve people who can no longer prepare their own food, okay? People who are shut-ins. I call them, sometimes we're old enough to remember the Beatles, Eleanor Rigby, the Eleanor Rigbys of society, okay? These are designed to help people who can no longer prepare their own food, okay? They are a lifeline to these folks. It will be a nutritious meal. It'll meet the nutrient requirements. Again, the goal is, like I said, we want to keep people in the home as long as possible. The idea of having someone come to your door 5 days a week and delivering you meals is an absolute lifesaver. It is one of the greatest programs out there, by far. And the whole idea is providing someone with a hot, nutritious meal that they don't have to worry about having to go grocery shopping. They don't have to, they just need to work a microwave, okay? That is how simple it is for the most part. It is a lifesaver. So that's the number one thing about Meals on Wheels. The second part, which most people are not aware of, someone's going to come to your door 5 days a week, knock on your door, and say, Larry, are you here? Your Meals on Wheels is here. That is huge, absolutely huge. Many of the folks are isolated. Again, we talked about the Eleanor Rigbys of society. They usually have no one, not a lot of friends, not a lot of family. They will what I call high risk, okay? If you have someone who's going to be knocking on the door, you will know, are they okay or not? There are times when a Meals on Wheels driver, if a delivery is not picked up and Larry does not come to the door, it's usually a call to the emergency contact, then it's a call if need be to police and fire to find out what has happened to this individual. Again, in my time of doing this, I have had stories of Meals on Wheels drivers who found the elder on the floor. The elder forgot to put on their lifeline, and we'll talk about that. And it is also, again, it's a safety measure too. So those two components, who is it for, the type of individual that it's for, and number two, it also acts as a safety component. So that's nutrition services. Anyone have any questions? Yes, I'll get you next.
I am familiar with
Yep.
Meals on Wheels. My father-in-law, we had it, Meals on Wheels for him from age 88 to 90. And he lives 1,700 miles away from his only son, my husband.
Yep.
So, and I do think it was a lifesaver. Eventually, he ended up living with us for the next 9 years and died at 99 years
Yeah.
old. So I will say I became the Meals on Wheels.
And you know what?
Effectively.
And that happens.
Right, but it was fun. I mean,
But it served
it served a transition.
It serves the transition, exactly.
And the other comment, he had limited income. Is there an income limit?
No income limit on that.
And
It's a free
Monday
service.
through Friday?
Yep, it's a free service. We do ask for a suggested donation, but technically it's a free service.
And do you get volunteers like this?
Yes, and that is a wonderful question.
Right.
In our original catchment area in the greater Boston area, we actually use staff. We merged with Bay Path out in Marlborough several years ago, where we use volunteers at those various towns in the metro. So it's a combination of staff and volunteers.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I was going to ask about the income, but are there eligibility requirements?
For the Meals on Wheels, there's none.
No.
No. That should be, you go in and they should be able to help you with that. It's a free service. Again, it's a suggested donation. What I'll also say with the Meals on Wheels is some people will use it as a stopgap measure, where they're like, I'm going to do my shopping once a month at Market Basket. I'll grab a couple meals during the week, I'll put them in the freezer. So that's also an option too.
Can I ask, do you deliver meals on Saturdays and Sundays?
No, we do not. It's
So
Monday through Friday.
5 days, it's Monday.
5 days. 5 days. So that part again is nutrition services. We also have, of the 22 communities, we have 5 or 6 that we actually have our own dining sites that Springwell sponsors. But again, in Wellesley, you have your own site. The next is the Massachusetts Home Care Program. And this is really a program where if you're eligible, Springwell can provide you ongoing case management and supportive in-home services to help seniors live independently at home. Care manager will come out, assess you for your needs and services, and help you develop a service plan. We're going to go into this because I think one of the things that comes up very often, our folks will say, well, I'm probably over income for this. What I will tell you is this, the services, first of all, that they can provide you. We will use vendors for our services. You will be assigned a case manager, but we will have vendors we contract out to. What services come under the Massachusetts Home Care Program? Personal care, homemaking, home health aid, companion, adult day health. Adult day health is huge, by the way. Of getting folks out and into the community, folks that are shut-ins. Home delivered meals is a part of the program, grocery shopping and personal emergency response systems. Those are the menu items, okay? What I tell people is, in general, when you get to this point, please call up first. Do not fly by, say, well, I'll be way over income. Usually if you're making under $2,500 a month, the services are next to nothing. But I do not like seeing, and I've seen this before in nicer communities when I'm going to a health fair, and someone has this huge portfolio, they live in a house, they have good income, and they're debating over price. And I look at that and say, nothing's stopping you from calling up and saying, okay, the first thing that's going to be asked is, what health plan are you on? Figuring out, this is the health plan I am on or we're on. This is our income limit. What would be available to me? This is one of the reasons you want to call up INR to figure out, you know what, I qualify for some of this. For some individuals, it will be, how much will this cost out of pocket? Will this cost me to get a homemaker, personal care? Will this cost me, say, $100 a month, $150? You're in the gathering of data phase, okay? Find out what it will cost, and then from there, you can do your own work in figuring out, okay, what if I went private on this? What if I don't do the state home care program? How much would that cost me too? In many instances, being able to be eligible for the Massachusetts State Home Care Program will be cheaper than going the private route. What I tell folks, however, is that you need to do your homework. So I encourage folks, call the INR line first and thinking, yeah, I'm interested in the home care program. What would be the cost? This is our health insurance. What are we eligible for? What will it cost me? What are my options if we cannot qualify for this? What are some other options? The INR specialist should be able to answer this. So this is why in the beginning I said the INR number is going to be very important to you on this end. Any questions on that at all? Yes?
Just thinking, let's say you had an injury, and that made you not be able to do things. Could you be able to get into this and be there until you recover? I mean,
there are times we can do it. There are other times we cannot. It depends on what the load is, whether or not there's a wait list. What I ask people to do, because there are many times we can do it, it's worth, again, calling up and say, you know what, I just got out of rehab. I need a month of a homemaker, personal care, you know, maybe Meals on Wheels. There are times that we cannot do basically one service. If someone says, you know what, I'm looking for meal prep and nothing else. That right now will not be that would be a priority level 4, which, and I'm sorry I'm going into the details of it, you'll have to add something else. But it's going and saying, okay, this is what's happened to me, this is what I'm looking for. How am I able to get this service? Do I have to take any other services with you? Or, no, okay, what are my options if I don't want to go with you, okay? That's important, very, very important. And that was probably one of the best questions I've had in a while, so thank you. Protective services, I'm also going to mention. This is the 4th part of our program. Protective services is designed to help or eliminate or alleviate the abuse and neglect of a senior. Once an allegation is received, a Springwell protective service worker investigates the allegation and provides crisis intervention and short-term case management if appropriate. I don't go into great detail in this. I usually more detail with staff, people in the human services, social services field. What I will tell you plainly, if you see something, say something. I can't emphasize this enough. Usually when I'm in a housing authority building, I'm much more in detail, because in the housing authority building, they're all attached at the hip. They will know the individual who something's just not right. He's not coming downstairs. He's been hanging around with someone who's kind of fishy, or, you know, I know he bounced his rent check 2 months in a row. What I will tell you, because the Wellesley Council on Aging, the Tolles Parsons Center, is so strong staff-wise, it is worth to be able to come in and say, hey, I have a question on this. This has come up, okay? And in turn, if the staff at the Wellesley COA wants to call our Protective Services Department, they can, okay? I think with protective services, there are a lot of rules and regulations that would make the average person's head spin. However, What I will tell you in my time of doing this, in my decades, I did money management for 21 years. I'm going to write a book when I retire. I could tell you all sorts of fraud schemes galore. There were also times I thought an elder was being abused, and I was wrong. So what I tell folks is, you have a friend, family member, neighbor, and you're thinking, something's not right here. Something's not right. I would actually go to the COA first and report it, saying something can be done. Many times when it ratchets up to protective service worker will go out and investigate, okay? Sometimes cases are open, other times cases are not. There are times in protective services where, say, someone files a report on Larry Poria. I shouldn't joke about this because probably someday they will. And the PS worker comes to the house and Larry says, "Get out of here. I don't want your help at all. This is none of your business." PS worker has to walk back down those steps, okay? I talked about choices. People have the right to make poor choices, okay? But at least the report was filed. This person should be on the radar of the local ASAP, okay? I think with PSA in general, people are looking for a happy ending with a bow tie. A lot of times that does not happen. That does not take away from the work that the protective service workers do. I think one of the strongest components in my time of doing and working with PS, there are many cases that don't revolve around abuse by another individual or fraud. A lot of it is self-neglect, okay? It's huge, okay? The person who hasn't taken a shower in 3 weeks, you go into the home or the apartment, it wouldn't have had Martha Stewart's seal of approval. Martha Stewart would have ran out kicking and screaming, okay? It's going in there and asking them, much like I did in the beginning of this presentations, where do you want to live? What are your goals? I have met people in such dire straits where I would think, they might even ask for a nursing home at this time, and they'll say, no, I want to live in my apartment, or I want to live in the family house that's 80 years old and it's about to fall apart. But then with the PS worker, what they're trained to do is, okay, Larry, what is it going to take for you to be able to reach your goal here? Would you like homemaking services? Yeah, I might try it. Personal care, you haven't taken that shower in 3 weeks. Yeah, I might want to try that. Meals on Wheels. I don't like the meals. Why don't you at least try it, Larry? Try the meals. Again, 25 years in elder services, I have seen absolute miracles of a report that comes as a protective services report. You meet the elder. The elder does not have to be on their best behavior, but the elder will have a goal. And 99% of the time it is, I want to live in my apartment, I want to live in the home. Well, if you're gonna do that, I strongly encourage you to try this, this, and this. I have seen people that probably should have been in a nursing home right away, but because they went with a Springwell or another ASAP, they bought time in the community. Again, I've had individuals that 5 or 6 years, they've been able to live and age and die in place because it started out as a PS referral, it was self-neglect, and they went and they decided to take the services. So that's another aspect of protective services that most people just, they do not understand. Caregiving support services is the next aspect. This will help those who provide care to make informed decisions, solve problems, reduce stress, maintain overall physical and emotional health. This is a blessing program. Every ASAP will have a caregiving support program. Our caregiving support coordinator, Jen Murray, her main job is to go out and meet with families and individuals and help them develop a care plan, number one. Number two, more importantly, it's to provide support and resources for individuals who are in the process of providing caregiving to their family or friend. I'll tell you a little bit about Larry and Kathy, my mom and my dad. Dad was a beautiful, beautiful man, age of 75. Both him and Mom said, you know what, we've been living independently. Actually, no, they were in their mid-80s. And they said, we're going to go the retirement community route, continuous care retirement community. And they went, and again, we lucked out because this facility provided everything. My dad had beginning stages of dementia, went to Alzheimer's. At the end of it, I was burnt, and I had two wonderful, wonderful sisters that also provided support. Again, they were in a retirement community, and the retirement community did well by them, was able to provide services, but we still provided a lot of care for them. And at the end of it, and I do this for a living, I was burnt out. So I am always worried and concerned about those who are providing care for their loved ones. As I joked in the beginning, is that every time I talk to a former caregiver, I'll always ask, you know, how was it? No one ever said it was a piece of cake. It's usually one of the toughest things anyone will ever go through. They never tell you what it's going to be like. It can be difficult, it can be challenging, and the idea of a caregiver support coordinator at Springwell, the goal is to sit down with the caregiver and the elder, come up with a plan, but also support the caregiver on that aspect of it.
Is there a cost to this?
No cost. It's absolutely free. Many COAs will also have caregiving support programs. I do not know particularly, does Wellesley have one in-house? No? Okay.
I think it just go through Kate.
Yeah, some usually will have them. Others will do virtual caregiving support. But the whole idea, again, is to meet with folks and help them in this process. She spends she does more miles on her car than I do. She spends most of the workday out meeting with families. Final part of this program is our volunteer services. We have a number of programs where we rely on volunteers to provide services. The first, we mentioned Meals on Wheels drivers. In our Metro West area, we use volunteer Meals on Wheels drivers. We also have a wonderful program called Friendly Visitor Program. And it is a program for elders who are lonely. I will tell you again, and I sound like a little bit of a broken record, loneliness will kill. It will absolutely kill. You can have a senior or someone with all sorts of serious health complications. I will say loneliness will play a big part in that, on how quick that person goes. Friendly Visitor is set up that we will match a volunteer in the consumer's town to meet with them. All volunteers, Corey, background check, to be able, they are trained to go out in the community and meet with seniors and meet with them once a week, okay? This is one of my favorite programs. I'm biased towards this program in general. This will make a huge difference. We're always interested, however, in volunteers for this program. If you have time, we will have consumers in Wellesley who would probably benefit from having a friendly visitor. So it's also volunteer opportunity for folks who are recently retired, though we recently had one lady who's 94 years old that's going to be joining as a volunteer. This is wonderful. Friendly visitor, this is great because it's taking folks who are isolated, they're socially isolated, and having someone come in and listen to them. In my line of work in doing this in human services, when I will go out and I will meet with people, I can pick up all the signs of loneliness. My job is to go down there, meet with them, sit there and listen to them. They can complain about everything under the sun. They can complain about their nosy next door neighbor, the politics, the Red Sox, they've lost 3 out of 4. Having someone listen to them and not judge them is a blessing, okay? At least for that day, someone has come into the apartment in the home and has met with them and talked to them. Like I mentioned in the beginning, loneliness will kill. This is a program that tries to help alleviate a little bit of the loneliness and isolation that affects many elders. Money management, which is a program near and dear to me because I ran a money management program. This matches up volunteers to work with elders in the community who are struggling with their finances. Folks who have forgot to pay their rent bill, are about to get evicted. You go to call and set up an appointment, the phone's been disconnected. These are for folks who struggle with their bills. Much like Friendly Visitor, volunteers query background check to be able to go in there and work with the elder. This, again, I'm going to show my bias here. This can be a godsend program for folks who are beginning stages of dementia. They're struggling. Many times it will be a family situation where the son or the daughter lives miles and miles away. They know mom or dad is really cognitively challenged. They want another set of eyes coming in. We have insurance for the volunteer. And it's being able to go in there and assisting them with the bills. Much like Friendly Visitor, much like Meals on Wheels, folks that will take this service, they're no longer worrying about their finances. They have someone coming in and they have someone assisting them with the bills. So it is a godsend program. Community dining we have at 6 to 7 sites. Again, Wellesley, you have your own. I will mention Ombudsman. This is a great program assisting folks in nursing homes. We will train volunteers to go out in the community, and it's a rigorous training to be able to go in the nursing homes and advocate for the consumers in the nursing home. This is not a faint of heart position. It is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Usually folks who volunteer for this, they usually say, yeah, my mom and dad was in a nursing home. I know what it was like. I want to be able to help out. We are in desperate need of Ombudsman's volunteers. The lady who runs the program, Mary Brooks, has been doing this, I think, close to 30 years at Springwell. It is an amazing program to be able to be trained to go out to a nursing home and advocate for a consumer. It is not easy. However, the impact that you will make with that person that you work with, it can be priceless. So Ombudsman, we're always looking for volunteers also in that area, along with Friendly Visitor. We also have, majority of the towns, we have shopping assistants where we match up volunteers with folks to go grocery shopping. They can either take the elder to go grocery shopping, or they can go and get the groceries for the elder. I'm chuckling with this because my mom, when she was 90 or 91, still would not trust her son to go grocery shopping to get her food. So I still remember, and I was like, you know, I have to practice mindfulness breathing, because she was 91 and she was, don't get that, I want this. And it's like, you know, it ended up being like a 2.5-hour trip to the grocery store. And like I said, caregiving, I needed a caregiving support coordinator because I was burnt out. But the idea of having someone getting your groceries or either going grocery shopping for you. And again, it's a wonderful program, and we're also looking for volunteers in that area too. I want to apologize because I went a lot longer than I thought. I'm a talker, unfortunately, and I did this for an hour. So first I want to thank you for just having the patience as I talked all about Springwell and the services. My hope is that I've been provide you at least with some ideas and some plans and what you probably would think about doing. Again, I designed this presentation particularly for you folks in Wellesley, just to have an idea, okay, this is what's out here, here are some ideas. I do have time for Q&A. Any more questions at all?
I
Yes?
assume there's no cost for the various services?
No, there's no cost at all. No cost at all for the volunteer programs.
This has been wonderful.
Yeah.
I love, honestly, I absolutely love doing this. And, one of my goals when I took this position was to go to all the senior centers. I want to make sure people know what's out there and have them just to be savvy, start to kick the tires of their life where they have a plan. They're looking at themselves, and sometimes we don't want to look at ourselves in the mirror because we're getting old, but thinking, you know what? I might have another 15 or 20 years left, believe it or not. And nobody likes to think that, it seems, but it's like, okay, I might have another 20% of my life that, God willing, I'm going to live. How do I want to live that? You should have a right to be able to do that. And one of the main aspects is just getting the advice, the help and support you need to make that wish come true. So again, I thank you all. And I'm available after if you'd like to talk. Yes, I do. I do have a business card. Thank you, Luke.